and welcome back to
Bunso Bites.
I am your host, Ami43.
And I'm your co-host, Chigi. And for today, we're going to have a short episode today. It's going to be about card games. So, not like Pokemon, the trading card game, but card games that involve a traditional deck of cards. The 52 cards.
Yeah.
Sometimes they have jokers, sometimes they don't.
The very standard... What's the brand of card?
Bicycle,
yeah. I actually recently, this is completely unrelated, but kind of related. A friend and I were at Barnes & Noble, and they just had like a bunch of different 52 card decks that are just so artistically beautiful, and like they look like steampunk or like antique-y. Like they're just so beautiful, and I was just like, it's just cards, but they're so nice. So I grew up playing an assortment of card games, although I would not say that I was a good card connoisseur. When Chigi and I were talking about this episode, I was like, I'm really good at solitaire. Which I'm sure most of you know, but for those of you who don't, it was a game that was original, the way I learned it anyways. As most 90s kids, it was on like the original Windows computer. You had Solitaire, Minesweeper, and then if you had a fancy phone, you could play Snake.
Right.
And those were kind of the three games. And I taught myself how to play Solitaire, to the point that I even played it like with actual cards, not just on the computer. Don't know why. It's a fun game to play by yourself, I suppose, and it kills time. And so I played that game growing up as a child, and like I said, an assortment of games through school. I mean, I learned a lot of card games through, I have an older brother, and he taught me a couple games, or classmates, friends that I grew up with, that type of a thing. But I wouldn't necessarily say that I was the coolest cat out there. I can shuffle and do a bridge. That's about the skill set that I have.
Yeah. So for me, like Solitaire, I never actually played on a standard deck of cards.
Really?
I've only played it on the computer.
On the computer, okay.
And fair. Then Free Cell, if you remember that card game on Windows.
Okay.
That I learned how to play on my own without reading any instructions.
Okay.
Yeah, those two games I only played on the computer ever. I've never played them on a standard deck of cards, and I don't think I'm ever going to.
Really? Not even Solitaire?
Nope, not even Solitaire. Because I think, like, when you win the game in Solitaire, like, you get that little animation where all the cards fall down.
Oh, and it does, like, the train? Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. And I'm not going to do that with a standard deck of cards.
You're not supposed to. It's
but
just...
it looks cool.
It does look cool.
All right?
I'll give you that.
So, the reason why I wanted to talk about card games is because it was such a big part of my life going through middle and high school.
Right.
So, like, whenever we'd have lunch or, like, study block, and you had a cool teacher that didn't really care if you were actually studying in study block or whatever.
You're done with your homework and you just need to kill the time.
And you have some free time, you know. You can break out a deck of cards, play with somebody. I knew a lot of card games back then.
Okay.
And I'm not sure if you know any of these games, but...
Probably know them. I'm going to tell you right now, I most likely was not very good at them.
Okay. So, starting with our quote-unquote Filipino games.
Yeah.
We have Pusoy and Pusoy Dos.
Yep.
Two different games, but it kind of correlates to the game of poker.
Yeah.
Okay, so for Pusoy, this was mainly a betting game. But, of course, since we were kids, we never bet anything. We just played the game.
Yeah.
So, Pusoy is a 13-card game where you're dealt 13 cards. You can have 2, 3, or 4 players. And with those 13 cards, you make 3 poker hands. You make 2 poker hands of 5 cards, and then 1 poker hand of 3 cards. And so the poker hand with 3 cards is called good. The first 5-card hand is called better, and then the last 5-card hand is called best. So you have good, better, best.
Mm-hmm.
And then with the people that you're playing with, you make your hands, and then you go from good. Whoever has the best hand of good takes that round for good.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever has the best hand for better, and whoever has the best hand for best,
Mm-hmm.
you would win those rounds.
Mm-hmm.
And so you could technically posoi somebody if you win all three.
Right.
And so that was just a quick game.
That's what always happened to me. I
Yeah.
never won, so then I was just always swept out every single time.
Right. And I don't think a lot of people know how to play the original posoi.
Oh, yeah.
But-
Because most people play Posoi Dos.
Yes, posoi dos is the more popular one.
Mm-hmm.
This one is just like poker as well. You play with poker hands. You can play 2, 3, 4 players.
Mm-hmm.
Usually when you play with 3 players, you still deal out the entire deck of cards.
Mm-hmm.
So each person would have 17 cards,
Yes.
and then you have 1 extra card.
Mm-hmm.
And then whoever has a starting card, which is the 3 of clubs, gets the last card.
Right. Yeah.
And then if you are playing with 2 or 4 players, for 2 players you could deal out 13 cards, or you can deal out all 26
Mhm.
each. And then of course if you had 4 players, each person gets 13 cards.
Mhm.
Now in Posoi Dos, you have the 4 suits. From highest to lowest, it's ranked diamonds, hearts, spades, clubs. The highest is the 2.
Oh,
The
yes.
number 2.
Number 2 is the highest.
Then it's 2, ace, king, queen, all the way down to 3.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the ranking in Posoi Dos.
Mm-hmm.
And so you would make your hands. You can make, like a full house, a flush, a straight, or whatever. It just so happens that whoever has the 3 of clubs starts. They can start with just throwing the 3 of clubs out by itself, which would be a single.
Mm-hmm.
They can put it as a pair. We try not to play 2 pairs because it's kind of cheap. Throwing 2 pairs and then a single card out
Oh, I see what you're
to
saying.
get rid of a card.
Yeah.
So we skip 2 pairs.
I'm sorry.
It's fine.
He
Um,
really wants to hang out. It's okay. There, I'll lean on him.
We would usually skip 3 of a kinds as well.
Oh, okay.
So you could either play it as a pair or you would play it as a full house.
Okay, yeah.
So then, other than pairs, you would play the other 5 card hands, starting with straight, flush, full house, and then those are higher.
Mm-hmm.
And the objective of the game is to lose all your cards
Get rid of
first.
your cards, yeah.
Okay. If you can't beat a something that was thrown out already,
Mhm.
you would say pass, and then it would go around to the next person. And then whoever has control of that round, I guess. So if you're playing pairs and everyone passes on pairs and it comes back to you, then you can play something else, either a single, another pair,
You
a
can-
5 card
you can
hand.
restart, essentially.
Yes, you can
yeah.
restart. And so, of course, the objective is to lose all your cards. That's what we would normally play
Mhm.
in school. Other than those types of games, I know there's other games that you may or may not have played.
Mm-hmm.
So I know you've played Speed.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. And so can you explain how you would play Speed?
No.
No?
Okay, so again, and I just want to make this very clear. A lot of these games I learned through other people, mainly my brother and his friends, which at the time was probably you guys.
Mm-hmm.
So I was really young and I really was just there because I wanted to be part of the cool kids. So it's kind of like I'm sure that if it was like put in front of me, muscle memory would like reteach me, but I haven't played these games since I was in elementary school, probably.
Okay.
I wouldn't even say middle school. I'm sorry.
So I'll explain it.
Yeah.
You can jump in whenever.
Sure.
So to play Speed,
You have to go really fast.
you have to go really fast. You have to be the first one to get rid of all of your cards.
Yes. Yeah.
So when it's dealt out, there's 5 cards on one side,
Mhm.
and then there's a single card,
Two
a single card,
cards. Mhm.
and then another 5 cards.
Yep.
Once all of the cards have been dealt out,
Mhm.
so the remaining 40 cards left. Each person will get 20 cards each.
Right.
You'll draw 5 cards from the top of that deck, and you'll look at them, and then when you two feel that it's ready,
You're ready,
you will flip over one of the single cards.
The 2 cards that are in the middle.
The ones that are in the middle. You'll flip those over,
Mm-hmm.
and then to play speed, you want to play cards that are either 1 card higher or lower than what's on the table.
In like a consecutive order.
Right, in a consecutive order. A lot of people play around the world, which means if you get to a king or an ace, you can play the king or the ace.
The alternate of, yeah.
Oh, the
you
alternate
can keep
of.
going around, essentially.
Yes.
Yeah.
Usually it would stop at ace, and then all you could be able to play would be the 2. But around the world means you can play the king on top of that.
Ah, I see what you're saying. Yeah. You can go either way.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And so you'd keep going until all the cards on your deck are gone.
Your 20 cards,
Yes.
essentially.
And then at the end of your last card, you'd say speed. And then that would mean you won that game.
And then the 5 cards that are stacked on the side, that's if you guys both get stuck, essentially.
Correct. So if at any time you guys have no cards that you can put on top that's higher or lower than what's on the table, you take 1 card from the side, either side.
That stack, yeah.
And then just turn that card over on top of the table, and then you'd resume play.
Again, I was really bad at the game, but I remember it. I mean, I remember playing it, and I remember being bad at it.
And
what other games did you play in? You said middle school?
Yep. And so there's a variant of speed.
Okay.
That's called spit.
Ew.
You don't actually spit.
Okay.
But it's just like speed.
Okay.
Except everything has to be played on the table. You can't hold anything in your hand.
Okay.
So all of your cards that you would usually hold in your hand,
your 5, you mean,
is out on the table for your opponent to see.
Okay, yeah.
And so you can only play with one hand.
Oh.
So
it's like one hand behind your back type of thing?
Yes.
Oh.
And so it is really just a matter of who's faster with one hand.
Like actually physically faster, yeah.
Yes. I guess if you're playing this at school,
yeah,
especially in the study block, you're playing speed or spit.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a lot of, fast motions.
Mm-hmm. Slapping the desk.
Exactly. That's what I was going to get to. You would be in a study block, where it's supposed to be quiet, quote unquote quiet, and then you just hear out of nowhere, like, what just happened?
Speed! That's funny.
Yeah, but those are a couple of games that I remember off the top of my head.
Mm-hmm.
I do know that, like, when I was in high school, the game to play, it was like the King of King games.
Yeah.
Was Spades.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. So Spades is it's a 4-player game in teams of 2.
Yes.
And for some reason, like, no one really knew how to play the real game of Spades.
What do you mean?
There was an actual scoring system that no one ever knew how to take score with.
Oh, okay.
And so the way people play it at school is whoever had the most books at the end of the game won, and then you get another team of 2 players to play against you. And so people would be lined up with their groups of 2 to get next in the game of Spades.
Isn't it so funny how in school, I mean, that's genuinely how we would do things. Like, oh, we don't know the full rules. Well, we'll just make this, and then this is just our iteration of it. And this is not just exclusive to, I mean, I guess I would just generalize this as a children's thing, because I was thinking about this as you were talking, like, how did we learn all these games? Obviously, maybe our parents taught us, or maybe an uncle or aunt. Like Pusoy, we had to have learned that from, like, an uncle or an aunt. Pusoy does same thing, It wasn't just like us as Phil-Am kids, we knew how to play Pusoy Dos just randomly. Like, that's something that had to come from our immigrant parents, aunts, uncles, whoever. And so it's kind of like, but I also know how very quickly and easily things can get lost in translation. And so I wonder, like, over that, on top of the fact that as kids, like you said, when you don't really know the rules, you kind of just adapt and like make your own version of it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And so it's like, how does that all evolve and change into the games that we grew up with or that we know as our own, but also just our versions of it, you know?
Yeah, and I really do like how you pointed that out, because I didn't start playing with a deck of cards until I came into the States when I was in Maryland.
Okay.
And so before I moved to the States, I was in Italy.
Yeah.
And in Italy, we were always a part of a Philam group. And so every week there would be like a Philam party.
Yeah.
You know, potluck, there would be karaoke, games, whatever.
Get together, yeah.
But, you know, for us kids, we wouldn't actually be in the party. We'd be outside playing Manhunt or something.
You'd be doing your own thing while the parents are doing their own thing, yeah.
Yeah. And so I never stayed in the party to watch like all of the aunties and uncle play cards or play mahjong.
I never learned how to play that game.
Ooh, I'd love to learn how to play mahjong.
Really?
Yeah.
Only reason why I'd be interested in playing it is so that I could do what Rachel did in Crazy Rich Asians. That's the only reason why. But even then, I don't really understand, because I remember watching a video about it. Like, even the tiles that she played had like significant meaning. There's like a whole lore to it. But I mean, it seems like a really cool game. Also, there's just like, they have I don't know if you've seen this online. They have entire tables that you can dump all the tiles in, and it shuffles it, and then it distributes automatically. And I'm like, that is some high-tech stuff that is just absolutely unreal. But you know that there's, you know, that auntie in China who used up half of her savings account just to get one of those things, because it makes playing, you know, mahjong that much cooler. Like, you know. So I think that's really, really cool. That's really interesting. I didn't know that you would be interested in learning how to play. I mean, I wouldn't mind learning how to play it. I don't know how it would, but I mean, other than YouTube probably, but
yeah, basically.
We don't know anyone who'd play it with us. No, it has to be 4 people, doesn't it? It can't be 2 people.
I'm pretty sure it has to be 4 people.
Yeah. I wouldn't know who to play with. It would just be us on YouTube. We have no friends. That's a lie. We have so many friends. That was mean. We have so many friends. But sorry, we went off topic. Back to what you were saying.
That's all right. I mean, that's what I wanted to talk about for spades.
Yeah.
Other than the actual scoring system, I do know that you would, before you get your hand of cards, you would agree with your partner how many books you would be able to win in that game.
Okay.
And out of the 13 books that you could win, you would usually go like 5, 6, or 7. And then every book that you made on or above the amount of books that you wagered on would be 10 times that amount. So if you wagered 5 and you got 5 books at the end of the game, you would get at least 50 points.
Oh, wow.
But if you wagered 5 books and you won 7 books in that game, you would get 50 points plus 2 points for each extra book. So in total, you would get 52 points for that game for wagering 5 and winning 7.
Oh, okay. I see. You were getting additional based on your initial wager.
Right.
Okay.
And so if you were to wager something like 8 books and you only won 4, you would get minus points.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
And then you would win the actual game after you reach a certain point total.
Oh, okay.
What that point total was, I don't know.
Yeah, just whatever was determined in the classroom that day, yeah.
And that was the actual scoring system that I knew of when I'd play spades.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't recall playing that game. Because, and you mentioned it, a lot of these games kind of fall under similar themes of, like, you know, poker rules, or, like, you know, making the combinations that are common to poker. And one of the games that I remember playing, and I was very intent on learning, very specifically, was Texas Hold'em.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's not to say that I played it very often. I just remember, like, thinking it was the coolest of all the poker games. I don't know why. I don't know if I watched a movie or something. I probably played a couple rounds, like, with my dad and with my brother for funsies and maybe with a couple friends. But I remember being fascinated by that game because it's like poker but very minimal in it. But I don't know, it's just really, really cool. And so that's because of Texas Hold'em and and Pasoy technically. Like that's how I learned Full House and Suites and things like that and the values of each one. But obviously it's different per game, but that's how I learned it anyways. So it's really interesting.
Yeah. So with Texas Hold'em, I do know how to play the game, but I don't actually play it.
Okay.
There's a reason why I don't play the game.
Okay.
With the actual real game of Texas Hold'em, you do bet actual money.
Yeah.
But there's a side of poker that just a few people know about, and that's the statistics part of
are you talking about
Texas
like
Hold'em.
21 stuff, the movie?
Well, like you know how you watch Texas Hold'em on TV. And like in real time they're showing the percentage of winning,
the statistical probability of this person getting it straight.
Yes. So the few people that know how to calculate the actual statistics of winning in real time while you're playing the game is the reason why I don't play the game.
Wow. You could do that. I know you could. I mean, I know you have the capacity mentally to do that, but
I could probably learn how to do it.
Yeah.
But when you're placed against someone that doesn't look like they know how to do it, but in their mind they're actually doing it.
It's a big acting. Well, you have to have a really good mask when you play it, for sure.
So that's the reason why I don't play it.
Yeah.
So
you would literally be like 4 times.
Yep.
You would be calculating and you would get the right answer, but then everyone would know what you were calculating. You would not be able to hide it. I see that.
Yep.
Oh, that's really funny. Yeah, no, that reminds there is a movie, I think it's called 21 or it's called something, where those kids from Yale or whatever Ivy League school, they rigged it, or they went to casinos and rigged it because they knew the statistics. And that's the thing. It's like, I mean, 52 cards in a deck. If math is math, numbers are numbers. If you're really good at it, all more power to you. Not something I could ever do. I mean, I'm not a math girly, so. But yeah, that was what. So you're playing spades? What? Probably high school, you were saying?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm. Any other games?
Oh yeah, I know you pointed this out to me when I brought this idea up to you.
Yeah.
The game called BS.
Bible study. Yeah.
Really?
That's what I was told to call it.
Have you played the game?
Yeah. Isn't it where you? Yeah. Yes. Because you have to. It's a bluffing game essentially. Correct. Yeah. And it's a bluffing game. And I was told to call it Bible study.
Okay.
Look, I was a good child, okay? We were just, I don't know. People were trying to protect me, I guess. But I really liked that game because and not even, obviously, like, lying is not necessarily good, but I loved the creative challenge of finding unique ways to go about it. So there's everything from, you say you put one card down but then you put two, or there's the you're testing someone's bluff with your own bluff, and like the mind game of that. And me, I'm big on communication, but it was also just like this really fun and interesting way of seeing, again, like in a fun and safe way, but like seeing how manipulative people can get, and in dictating how the game goes. Because more often than not, the winners of the games were not people who actually had good cards. They knew how to play the game. And,
oh yeah.
and yeah, so it's a fun game. I haven't played it in a while, but I do remember playing it growing up. Like you said, just on the in betweens when you're waiting for car pickup or you're waiting for whatever it may be, and you're just like done with your homework, done with whatever. Oh, you want to play around with it? Sure, let's play. Again, I'm not one who's very good at card games, but I did enjoy that game. Even if I lost a lot, I still enjoyed it.
Yeah. So the rules for BS is you deal out the entire deck of cards to whoever's playing. You know, you could have 2 up to what I think the most I've ever played was 12 players.
Oh, that's a lot.
Yeah.
I've played maybe a max of 4.
And
you clearly have friends that I do not.
this was back in the day when, you know, we had no TVs or nothing else,
you
just each other and you know, whoever brought whatever with them. And so to play the game, everyone get dealt out cards, and you pick a designated person to start. It's usually the first person left of the dealer.
Yep.
And then they would start out by, in chronological order, how many aces they would put down. The next person would put down 2s, 3s, 4s, 5s, 6s, all the way around up to king, and then would reset back to ace. And so the objective of the game was to get rid of all your cards. And of course, if you didn't have the card, you would still have to put something down.
Yeah.
So say if it was your turn and you had 6s to put down, and you didn't have a 6, you would have to say at least 1 6.
At least.
At least.
You can say more.
Yeah, you can say 2, 3, 4 6s.
However, if you lie and someone calls your bluff, they'll call out
BS.
Bible study.
You can say BS.
Look, I was taught a specific way, and that's how my inner core feels.
Okay. And so when someone calls BS, they would turn over your cards, and if it wasn't what you said, then you pick up the entire stack of cards.
You get the whole stack, yeah.
And then you would resume play until someone or everyone else runs out of their cards. And then there's one person left that has all the cards.
Has all of it. Yep.
So my thing with BS is it's fine if you want to continue to call out BS on everybody.
Yeah.
But you can't touch the cards once it's been placed down.
Oh.
Right?
Yeah,
if you were to touch the cards, then you have to call BS.
BS, yeah.
It's mandatory because I'm the type of person, this is me personally, I'm the type of person that will say 1 6, put my cards in the pile, but there would be 2 cards there.
Oh, yeah, like what I was saying, where it was like you can, or one that got me was I had, I don't know, like where where you put your card also, like you look like you're putting it on top, but actually you're like sliding it underneath whatever. And yeah, there's a lot of ways that you can just get really, really creative, creatively lie. Which sounds so bad, but it's just a game. Like, it's just for giggles. And so, like I said, it taught me a lot. I was significantly more fascinated with the game in its aspects of how people were playing the game, not necessarily the game itself. Like, I was like, oh, you know, this person's body language is like this, or this person, you know, what are people's tells? You know, if someone's lying, like, oh, does he raise his eyebrow, or is his hand shaking? Like, that was significantly more exciting to me as a person, because I like people observing and watching and stuff. And I feel like as a younger, or as a child, literally, it was always just kind of like, I was always hyper fascinated with the secrecy of it all, I guess. What other games did you want to talk about?
There is one last game. I don't know what the official name of the game is.
Okay.
It's not the one that we were looking up on the computer earlier.
Oh, okay.
We called it Egyptian.
I've heard of that.
I've heard of it. I've heard of the actual title being called Egyptian Rat Killer.
Yes, I've heard that too.
But in whatever form it was, there was the word Egyptian in it. That was a really fun game.
Yeah.
It was a game of speed and just focusing in on what's being played.
Okay.
So the premise behind Egyptian was to be the one that had all the cards.
Oh, you're trying to get every card. Okay.
Right. So you deal out the deck of cards to whoever's playing. I think we've only ever played with 4 people.
Right.
And it's just flipping over your card onto the table. So one person plays their card on top, say it's a 5. And then the next person plays their card, it's another number, say a 7.
Okay.
The third person plays their card, it's an 8. The only time that play would stop or you would have to do another action is if you played a face card, which would be a jack, queen, king, or ace.
Okay.
So play would change when you drop one of those face cards.
Okay.
If it was a jack, the next person would play 1 card on top of it. If it was a queen, it would be 2 cards.
Oh, okay.
If it was a king, 3 cards. And if it was an ace, 4 cards.
Oh, wow.
If nothing happened on those cards that you played out, the person who played the face card gets all the cards in that pile.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And then the only other time play would change is if you put the same card down twice. So if I played a 5 and the next person plays a 5, the person that played the second 5, anyone can slap their hand on the pile and grab all the cards in the pile.
Oh.
That would be called a pair.
Okay.
If I played a 5, someone played an 8, and then the third person played a 5.
Sandwich.
You would slap your hand and it would be called a sandwich.
That I do know.
Yes. If someone slaps their hand and there's nothing there, it's called a misslap.
Oh, happens.
And so they put a card from the top of their deck to the bottom of the pile.
Oh, like a discard?
Yeah.
Kind of?
So they lose a card.
Oh, I see.
And then the only other one that we ever played was called marriage.
Oh.
So if there was a queen or a king being played, and the next card that was played on top was a queen or a king, so the other card that was not played, you would slap, and then you would get the entire pile of cards. Now the thing is, you can slap whenever one of those things are played. So if you played a king, and then I played an 8, 5, and then the last card was an 8, anyone can slap that deck of cards and win that pile, rather than the person who played the face card.
Oh, interesting.
Yes. So you would keep playing until someone wins all the cards.
Right.
The only other caveat was, if you have no cards,
can you slap in?
You can still slap in.
That's what my next question was, because I was like, I can imagine, if people are, you're just kind of like listening in, you can slap in and be like, oh, marriage, and you just, get the whole stack. That'd be really cool.
Right. And I think what we should have done back in the day is, if you were out, you had no cards, and you slapped in, then you're out of the game completely if you missed. If you misslapped.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
That's the only thing that we didn't do.
Yeah, well, you're just playing a game for funsies.
Yeah. But, I mean, back in the day, we would just have a whole bunch of slapping matches. And then, you'd have people that just slap for no reason because they can.
Yeah. Just
to piss you off.
Yeah. Well, no, just for funsies.
I remember when it was a really intense game, and it's coming down to the last 2 people left.
Okay.
And it was a big pile of cards, and the next card that was going to be played we all knew that it was going to be something that we could slap on.
Oh.
And so everyone was ready.
You were like, yeah, everyone was primed in.
And I distinctly remember when that card was played, everyone slapped, right?
Uh-huh.
But one person waited, right?
Okay.
So like everyone slapped in to be the first one to grab the deck of cards.
Yes. Yeah.
But the last person that didn't slap just made sure that everyone slapped, and he just slapped whoever's hand was on top.
Do I know who this person is?
Yes.
Okay. That's what I thought. I don't even need to know. You don't even need to name them. I know exactly who that is.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah. And so that was just one of the games that we would play all the time.
Yeah.
It would ruin your deck of cards because
the amount
of slapping, the amount of creases you would get in the cards.
Right.
But it was a fun time.
Those are the best decks of cards, though, when it's like well loved and you can feel how soft the cardboard is.
Mm-hmm.
That's when you know, like, these cards have seen some games and you've made good memories with them. And I think that's such a nice kind of bow to this episode where it's like we're significantly older now, and I'm sure you haven't played these games years and years and years and years and years, but having those memories and those kind of like funny little tidbits of, remember when you used to do this? Like,
mm-hmm.
those are always fun, especially you were very fortunate that a lot of the friends you had back then you were still very much friends with now. And I have friends like that too, but I moved around a lot more than Chigi did growing up, so I don't live around the people that I spent the most time with in my years growing up all over the place. So, yeah, that's really, really nice, and it's a nice thing to remember. And out of all the games, though, which one would you say is your favorite?
Oh, it's definitely Egyptian.
Yeah. Just because all the memes from it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you don't need a particular skill set to learn how to play.
Right. Yeah.
You just know what the rules are and just slap in.
Pay attention. Yeah. And I feel like it's one of those games where you can, like, Chigi can explain the rules and you kind of get the gist of it. But as you're playing, you pick it up as you're playing very, very quickly because you're in the moment and you're paying attention and you're able to notice, oh, I can slap there. Oh, I can, slap in here or whatever. So, yeah, I like that. That's really, really cool. Do you have anything else you wanted to add?
No,
any other tidbits?
There were other games I wanted to talk about.
Yeah?
Like,
we can talk about them.
Like Gin Rummy, Gin.
Oh.
I just don't remember how to play those games anymore.
I was going to say, I've never played those games, but I know of them. Like, I hear about them in popular media and things like that, but I've never played those games. You used to play those games?
Oh, yeah.
Wow. I mean, that just shows you how long ago it was, though, if you don't remember them. Plus, it's been years since you haven't been playing it. Like, it's not like you play it regularly.
Yeah. I mean, there were other games, too, other party games, such as, I think it was either called Spoons or Forks. That was a game that we used to play.
I don't remember ever a game being Forks, but I do remember Spoons.
Well, if you didn't have spoons, you would put out forks.
That's valid.
There was another game called Camps that we were looking up on the computer. I distinctly remember playing that game, but I couldn't remember the official title of the game. But yeah, there was a bunch of card games that I used to know how to play that I don't play anymore.
Yeah. This is inspiring me. Maybe we should buy a deck of cards and just play some old school games.
Oh, I have a couple of deck of cards.
I'll pass it out. Do you?
Yeah.
I just don't know where they are.
Yeah, they're just in the nooks and crannies of my room.
Hanging out, yeah. But yeah, I like this episode a lot. It was a nice walk down memory lane, and again, I really wanted to I guess highlight that aspect of what was so cool about things like card games or even just games where as kids we would just kind of, you'd get very loose, sketchy rules from whoever, and then that aspect or idea of you and your friends making it your own and your own version of it. And that's not to say that everyone was unique. I feel like there are certain games that, how everyone knows how to play hopscotch and we all know the basic rules, but like when you're a kid, what the fun part about it was, or the parts that made the most memories, I feel like, was when you and your friends would truly customize it to make it work and make it more fun, and you guys having those fun memories.
Yep, those are called house rules.
Yeah, house rule. That's absolutely. Oh, sorry, I'm triggered because there's a certain friend of ours who plays Uno, and she's very hyper fixated on, are we playing house rules or are we playing real rules? And it gets very dicey, and I'm just like, I want to play for fun. Can we just have fun? I'm such a non-competitive person, and so I like playing games to have fun. A majority of my friends are very competitive, and it stresses me out. So shout out to that friend, though. She does make my life a lot nicer and funner and funner. More fun. Wow. She does make my life a lot more fun.
On this podcast, funner is a word.
Just hyper specifically for this podcast, funner counts as a word. That's funny. But yeah, that was our episode on card games. What card games did you guys play growing up? Did you guys play any games that we mentioned, or did you guys have different house rules yourselves? Let us know in the comments down below. And we will see you guys on the next one. Bye.